Welcome back to Improvision Entertainment. My name is Hunterman, and this is going to be more of Euro Truck Simulator 2. Now, the game has defaulted us back to our starting city, because the game map has changed. There was an update since the last time I played, which in this occasion is a few weeks ago, as opposed to more than a year ago. So a little bit of time has passed, so expect a little bit of rust. I've already banged up the truck from being completely repaired at the end of the last recording. And what we're going to do today is we're going to take a long trip from Istanbul, more than 2,500 kilometers. In fact, I think it's over 4,000 kilometers, so it's probably going to be this entire stream based on things. I've got the map set so that we're going to go scenic route, and we're going to hit a bunch of question marks we don't have before. Question marks are going to be either recruitment agencies, truck dealerships, or viewpoints. And I've also rearranged the map so that we are going basically spending an additional 6 hours on the road than the original 64 hours planned, because we are going to be traveling more gray roads that are possible to hit on the way. And as you know, there's a long-term achievement for getting 60% and then quote-unquote 100%, which is closer to 95% of the map, revealed, turning all the roads from gray to orange. So this is all part of the long-term achievement process. If you were wondering about games that you could go for achievements in, I do not recommend going for Euro Truck Simulator 2 because it will take you hundreds of hours. But this game is the winner of last month's birthday month poll, because September is the month of my birthday, and it is a game that at the beginning of August I felt like I wanted to play more of, and this is 2022. And so it won barely. It was very close. The end results of the polls was very close, and so I'm playing it because it is a game I wanted to play and you wanted to see me play. So here we are. If anybody who's currently watching live at twitch.tv/Hunterman, for those of you watching later on YouTube, please consider voting in the current poll that I've just linked in the chat for what games I will be playing next month on stream for the spooky month of October. I'm not big into horror games. There's a couple of horror games on the list, to be sure, because I need to get out of my comfort zone. But there are games with horror elements, such as Permadeath in Fire Emblem and XCOM, and I believe Phoenix Point. Lots of roguelikes like Into the Breach and Rogue Legacy. And if you happen to be watching much later on the YouTubes, when this recording goes up, check the banner across the top of Improvision Entertainment, and in the bottom right corner there should be some links in that banner for things such as whatever the then current poll is, because hopefully I'm still doing this whenever you're watching this in 2028 or something. Otherwise, we are about to get going. I have already picked up the cargo and we're going to leave, but today, slightly differently, and because we've got a long trip ahead of us, and because it's the early morning hours where I am, as you can tell by the little time code in the bottom corner of the screen here, it's about 8 a.m. I am going to be switching over to podcasts, and I'm going to be listening to some IGN news until perhaps the chat shows up and has something to talk about. So, you know, I'm a small-time streamer right now, not a lot of people viewing, so we're just going to try and play this. We're going to go in order starting from, let's say, this is probably going to take us 3 hours. So let's start with a podcast from August 31st. Let me double check the audio because since it's talking, I want you to be able to hear it.
Beyond. What's up, everybody?
We're going to start with Podcast Beyond, the PlayStation podcast.
65. I am today's host, Mark Medina, and I'm joined by Jada Griffin.
All right, there we go.
Hello,
that should be good for you guys, and you should be able to see in the corner of the screen when I flick over right now.
Howdy. I love my coffee.
Good,
Oh, my watch
good.
has died. That is
I had a
unfortunate.
pumpkin spice cold brew this morning because basic. Because like that was just
All right.
like the thing
Above
on
my head should
Twitter,
be
and I was
what
like, all
what
right,
is
I
playing in the
gotta
timestamp.
do this. And they're
Timestamp.
just as good as
So
I remember, it's a little too hot to be drinking.
making
stuff
sure I
like
can
that.
see the
Like, it
Twitch
feels
chat.
It's like you're trying to make fall happen when it's not there. But
You can't force it. It happens
Driving
naturally.
safe,
Exactly.
or trying to.
But we got a great show. Today we're going to talk about The Last of Us Part 1.
We are working on an achievement in game right now for delivering 3 deliveries from Istanbul, which is my starting city.
Quick news.
Um,
The first being
that is
Couple
over
missions right
2,500
now.
miles.
But
We
I-
may
I
have
had
already
a
done
good-
this twice
I had
before,
a
so we
good
might get the
morning.
achievement
Had a
when we
good
get done.
breakfast.
It
We had
doesn't say
breakfast
anything about
tacos.
doing
I got
perfect
the
deliveries,
cold
though
brew
I'm going to do my
to
best
sit
not to get
down
bashed up doing
to
this.
kind of like go over the show notes, make sure everything's good.
We're here for
My
the
heart
scenery
breaks.
and the
Forest 2,
podcast.
aka Sons of the Forest, delayed till February. Guys, how am I supposed to do a show after that?
I was surprised you showed up at all today. I figured you'd call in sick last minute and I would have to host. I'm not even lying. Like,
All right.
I know you were devastated just as your wife is. You are both devastated by this news.
Amanda threw herself onto the ground. It's not even a joke. She was like on the ground because the game was originally supposed to come out in May and then got delayed to October. And now
I
got
missed the
delayed
beginning
till
of this of what game they're
February,
talking about, but
which
they're
makes me, like,
they're
sad
joking,
for two
so
reasons. Reason number
I'm gonna
one
need
being,
this to be a
like,
green light,
I
though.
was really excited. The game was a month out, and I was gonna get to play Sons of the Forest. But
Sons
also,
of the
like,
Forest.
February is insane. It continues to be insane. I can't like fathom how that's all gonna work out with so many games coming out. Matt, are you a fan of the Forest at all?
Yeah, actually, I did play it. I like the part of it where you're like just like trying to eke out like survival and stuff like that. I thought
Yeah.
the story was kind of weird at the end. Like as I got further into it, I was like, oh, okay, this is a weird direction.
Oh, the
but
Forest.
I get it. I guess. I'm actually really excited for this one.
I've
too.
seen that.
This got announced at like the Game Awards back like 2019, right? Like that's how long ago this was shown off. And I remember, I think we were all in the office watching it together, and when the trailer came up, like we were all really hyped. Like it was a really good announcement trailer. Like I'm still really excited. But I mean, there's also other stuff to play.
So it's funny. The game was originally supposed to come out in May. My wedding anniversary, 15-year wedding anniversary, was May 19th. And
Okay.
we went to Disneyland and then took more days off because we were going to play Sons of the Forest together because me and my wife are a big fan. And it got delayed. And then I was like, that's fine. We'll play it in October. Nope.
Oh,
Playing
couldn't
it.
see.
No other games are coming out, so. Or
Nothing.
none.
All right.
It's in 2023.
Rusty on the
Maybe
controller
you
for a
could
moment.
just wait till May of next year. Just don't play it in February, March, April. Just play it in May of next year and still do it as an anniversary thing.
I'll give it my best shot. No, I want to play the game so bad. Something else. It's that time of the month. PlayStation Plus games. They're here. They got announced this morning. So these will be available for download. These are for all three of the tiers: the essential, the premium, the everything.
Right,
we have
right.
Need
4
for
tiers,
Speed
really.
Heat for PS4, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus for PS4, and Toem A Photo Adventure for PS5.
All good games.
It's a list of games. I don't know if anyone has strong feelings about that list. I think it's fine.
The only one I've played is the Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and that was at a convention before the pandemic. Like I played a demo build for it, and it seems like a solid fighter. It was at EVO this year, drew a decent crowd. So I'm excited to kind of dive in and give this one a shot. I love fighting games, so free is the perfect number to jump into a new one.
I didn't realize it was a fighting game. Okay, that's I'm like,
Wow, dude.
That's not a franchise that I'm like super familiar with. Obviously.
The Grand Blue Fantasy are I think it started out as like mobile games if I remember correctly, and then they had like handheld or like console RPGs or PC RPGs. I can't remember where it was at, where it lived. But the fighting game dropped I think a year or two ago. But yeah, and it's found a decent audience, so I'm excited to give it a shot.
I mean, it looks cool. Like, if you're watching the video version, the B-roll, like it looks very nice.
I am not watching the video version.
Right?
Yeah, it's very flashy.
But as far as news goes, it hasn't been like the biggest news week. Like, Savage, the mobile game developer, got acquired by Sony. So like, there's obviously going to be a push into mobile, but like, we don't know what that is yet. That's just an acquisition.
Yeah, I was kind of weirded out by
One
Microsoft
of the
saying that
things
Activision
PlayStation's
acquisition
done
is
the
about
past
pushing
couple
into
years, so-
mobile, and I was like,
But
what?
the
Mobile
biggest
Activision
thing
games have
happened
come
right
out.
After we recorded our show last week, which was something unprecedented, something that a couple of months ago we were saying this is the weirdest thing ever, right? So, to set the stage, a couple of months ago, starting at the beginning
Oops.
of this month, the Meta Quest 2
Do not drive with one hand.
increased its price by $100. And I remember that being very, very strange, right, for the industry and for us. We're like, wow, that's something that just doesn't happen. This thing's been out for years. People love it, but it's like it's not necessarily like hard to find or anything like that. And suddenly they're increasing the price by $100. Well, turns out that that was the beginning of what could be a trend or could just be, you know, another one-off. But the PlayStation 5 has increased in price in certain regions. So to set the stage,
More
I have
regions?
the price list here, but it's, you know, Europe, UK, Japan, China, Australia, Mexico, and Canada all saw varying levels of price increase. Like Canada got a $20 price increase, where others got a little bit more. The main region to take note that is missing from that list is the U.S. We didn't see a price increase at all, which is
No, you'd have U.S. gamers
causes
revolt
more questions
PlayStation
than
5's
answers,
increase in
I
price.
think. But I asked the folks on Twitter what they think about this, and just to start us off, Canadian Animal, awesome name, he said the PS4 received a $50 price hike in Canada within a year of release. Not a big deal, I suppose. I'm glad I bought mine before the hike, and same for the PS5. That's something I've never heard of, and I did not verify because I saw that tweet right before. Did either of you hear anything about that? I know we don't live in Canada, so...
Yeah, we're usually spared from whatever nonsense that happens up north of the border.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but I wanted to get everybody's general thoughts. Matt, we'll start with you. What is your overall thoughts on the fact that, like, PlayStation 5 is now, it's almost 2 years old. It's still, like, almost impossible to find, and now it's getting a price increase in a lot of, like, major regions.
Yeah, honestly, like pretty surprising. I thought the MetaQuest one was like really surprising because that's an older hardware, and like $100 is a lot of money to bump up the price of something. And so a lot of people were like, why is it $100 more expensive for something that's probably going to be outdated within like a year? Because like Meta has already announced that they're working on next gen versions of Quest. The PS5 stuff is just sort of it spoke to me that it was like a similar like decision making because consoles are usually sold at a loss, so it makes sense that you're trying to recoup some more. It also makes sense that the price increase didn't happen in America because the like euro and the pound and the yen are all kind of, you know, struggling right now, and they're a bit weaker, which is why you're trying to make up that gap. So I mean, it's surprising, and I guess it
Still
really
seems like a
speaks to the
dangerous
sort of,
move
the global economy that we're
to
in
me
right now.
to increase the price of the PlayStation 5
I guess
in
it's
most
lucky for us
places.
in the biggest
I
market
think
in
they
the
didn't do
world
it in
that
America
we're
because
safe from
American
that, but I
gamers
guess
are
it really just means that like
very
nothing's
entitled.
off the table at this point, you know?
Yeah, they didn't give a reason, like a concrete reason, right? It was just like economy stuff, right? And so you're just kind of like, okay. About a year ago, they reported that the disc version of the PlayStation 5 was no longer selling at a loss, right?
We got income coming in
for them
from our
to increase
drivers,
the price seems a
and
little
Cellcook
strange.
is
You can-
leveled up.
You can kind of take the easy answer and be like, okay, well, you know, stock shortages continue to be a thing. Nintendo's president recently did an interview and said that shipping costs have gone insanely high for sea and land, right? So that could kind of be a thing. I think the easiest answer is probably shareholders want more money. And, you know,
Well, shareholders want more money.
exactly. It's like, we need more money. Jada, what were your thoughts when you saw this?
I think the thing that most occupied my brain when this happened was we're, you know, a couple years into the console life. Usually for PlayStation around year 3, year 4, we start seeing a slim or remodeled version of the console, and we're seeing a price increase a little bit before that. So like, how's that going to play into effect when we eventually get a redesign of the console? You know, is that price going to carry over so where this...
Yes.
Usually when you see a slim version, there's sometimes
Income
it's a little bit
13,000
cheaper
euros
because parts have become
from
more
Oscar.
available. I'm thinking back mostly to like the PS2 era where, you know, it dropped. I think at one point the Slim was like $150 or whatnot. When I can't remember what the launch price was, but yeah, I'm wondering if we're gonna see something along that change.
Trying to remember if I'm trying to get drivers or warehouses,
you know,
right
like
now.
Matt said, it's kind of unprecedented besides the Quest 2, and like it's kind of opens the floodgates to like where anything can kind of happen at this point. So I'm real curious to see like how it moves going forward. Like, is this just a one-time increase? Do we see it potentially going up again? Like, is that I mean, it's technically at this point my PlayStation 5 is worth more now than when I bought it. So is my PlayStation now?
Well, you've used it, so it's not worth more now. That's not how that works.
Liability type thing when it comes to you know, because like you buy a car, like you lose. It's instantly you've lost money the moment you drive it off the lot. Like it's automatically worth less, unless it's like some rare import car that goes up in price later down the road. It's just it's so weird.
The hell?
Yeah, it's one of those.
What is
like,
that noise?
I don't want to say this in any sort of sense that I'm like defending the actions, right? Because Sony is a multi-billion, trillion, whatever. I don't think they're worth trillions, but
No, they're not worth trillions, dude.
Me defending them does nothing. I don't care what they do, except for the fact that I think this is not great, right? As a consumer.
You guys just have a wreck in front of me?
We've been saying it for 2 years. We are in unprecedented times, like you mentioned with the cars, right? You know, most people are getting.
All right, while we're
what they
stuck here
paid
for a second,
their
I'm gonna
car
double
or
check the
more,
warehouse
right?
situation.
I did a trade-in for my car, a trade-in quote, just to see what it was, and they offered me, I think, 1,000 less than what I bought it for 3 years ago and 40,000 miles ago. I bought it brand new, and it has 43,000 miles on it, and they offered me $1,000 less than what I paid for it, which is like. Of course, these console prices are out of whack because everything's out of whack. Like, this isn't the weird case. Everything is weird. But we have to talk, like, bananas, right? Like, so on Twitter, Uncle Rupert, that's Uncle with a K, said, the question is,
recruitment agency.
Do we think that this is going to hinder sales at all? Do you think that you're all of a sudden going to be able to walk into a store and just PlayStation 5s are going to be anywhere? And he says, I doubt anyone that wants one and has found one. I doubt anyone that wants one and has found it hard to get one will be dissuaded. They're still going to sell as many as they can make. It may make people grimace a little bit, but I doubt it'll hit sales. Matt, what do you think?
I didn't even pay attention to what that driver's name is. We've reached that point.
If you think about it, remember when the PS5 first launched and retailers did those things where they bundled the PS5 with like accessories and games and then jacked up the price by like $300, and those bundles still sold, right? If you can find, I mean, like if you're paying, and like we've talked about this when the new consoles launched. We talked about the scalping prices, right? That there were PS5s going for like $1,400 on eBay that were actually like sold listings. Like people paid 3x, 4 times like the retail price to get a PS5 at launch, and that's how much people were willing to pay for these systems. Like if someone can find a PS5 now and it's got like it's 20 euros more, 20 Canadian dollars more, like that's honestly kind of a bargain compared to like some of the prices that people paid even before the price hike. So yeah, I think that really like if we're being really honest and we're like comparing it to the sort of like inflated prices that people have already paid for these systems, like I don't think a $20, $50 price hike is going to dissuade folks too much.
A fun story I always love to tell.
Hey, Ludwig.
During the like rush to buy a PlayStation 5, my friend Christina bought one of those very expensive bundles that came with PlayStation Destruction All-Stars, which then got delayed and ended up coming out for free. So like a lot of people bought those super expensive bundles and then didn't even get like the value of what you were supposed to get. Jada, what about you? Do you foresee this being a problem when it comes to sales? It's so hard. A lot of the like feeling I'm getting from people is PlayStation 5 is a luxury item, right? It's $500.
And then
so if you walk into a store and suddenly they're like, actually, it's $520, is that really going to stop somebody? Jada, what do you think?
That's never stopped me when it goes to buying something. You know, like, because sometimes you'll go.
It's never stopped you when you go to buy something.
Or whatnot, and
sudden price increase.
You go back later and like.
The other day I went to a Burger King, and a combo was $11 when 2 years ago it was $5, $6. And I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter how hungry I am right now. I'm not doing that.
But I also am one of those people who kind of like get, I got like the top end Steam Deck and stuff like that. Like, that's just for the memory. Like, that's just me. Like, I like to go all out with my luxury items because.
Hold on, where's this map taking me?
Kind of somewhat future proofing. Like, I don't want to have to go and redo something later. But I don't think it's gonna really affect people too much.
Okay.
I think it's like
I thought it was
Luke
telling
said,
me to come
people are
back
gonna
on
learn this,
myself.
and they're gonna be like, fine, take my money. But like, I get my PlayStation 5 finally. Like, and speaking of being able to walk in stores and find one, they've been available pretty readily for the last like week or so at least.
Week or so.
Bought one for my little brother through the PlayStation Direct or whatnot, and it.
Oh, for anybody watching us in the future,
like, I literally
this is
paid
the
for it
week
on Monday,
of
and it showed up
Labor
on Tuesday
Day
for
in the
him. I was
United
like,
States,
that is so quick,
2022.
which means that the stock's got to be there, like, for people to just buy them now. Because I mean, not obviously to meet all of the demand, but to at least meet some of the demand that people are looking for them still.
Yeah, I remember a few episodes I was so happy that I was like, I was able to buy one. That's like a thing now. You're able to. We had a meeting yesterday and we kind of looked and we were like, yeah, you can just buy one on Walmart right now. It's the Horizon Forbidden West bundle, so it's
correct.
It was here in America. It was $5.50 because you're getting a digital code for Forbidden West, which is technically I think what $20 off that game. So still like deal, I guess you could say, but like yeah, through PlayStation, through Walmart, you could just get a PS5 now, which is pretty insane. Something that I've seen kind of trending around is that a lot of people are saying, you know what, that's it, I'm switching to PC. Because
Sure.
Hansu Master on Twitter says, Mexico here, I do not own a PS5 or an Xbox. I have a PC and a Switch because a lot of the Game Pass games are coming to Xbox Game Pass on PC, and now a lot of PlayStation games are coming to PC. We'll talk later about The Last of Us Part 1, but they've already announced that will eventually come to PC. We don't know when. We don't know if it's even going to be this year, but some people are finding it worth the wait. Do you guys agree that, like, that could just be a way to go? Just build yourself a nice PC, and you technically own both consoles now.
Yeah, I mean, as a nice PC owner myself, like, I probably would agree that, like, now is the best time to sort of earnestly, like, think about investing in a PC, right? Like, it used to be that maybe, like, a couple generations ago that, like, the consoles really were, like, the easiest, most accessible ways to get into, like, high-end gaming, but like, nowadays, and this is kind of funny because this also ties into economy, and, my colleague Taylor would probably be able to speak more about this than I can, but, it used to be that, like, graphics cards, like really high-end graphics cards, there's like prohibitively expensive, but like NVIDIA announced that they made too many of their like high-end graphics cards for the current or last gen, the ones that can do like do ray tracing gaming, and so now they announced like we have too many of these 2080 cards, 3000 cards, that we're gonna have to offload them pretty soon at a lower price. And so while like the PS5 announced a $20 price hike, Nvidia is looking at dropping the prices of their really expensive cards. So
Okay.
not a bad thing to think about when these prices are fluctuating like they are.
Yeah, it's like if you didn't own either and you built a decent PC for $1,500, which is still expensive, but it's like then you're getting access to Game Pass on PC. You're getting access to the few PlayStation games that are coming to PC, and then obviously Steam and Epic Game Store and all that stuff. It's seeming more and more worth it, but I know console gaming is just like that is just like where a lot of people like to live, right? Like console gaming couldn't be easier. You take it out of the box, you plug it into your TV, you have a controller, and it's just working.
Yep.
Right? Like
for the most part.
Playing Spider-Man for PC and just trying things out. And this was before I modded it, and I think it was like the second day I was trying to launch it, and it just like wasn't launching. And I'm like, I don't know why. And that's not to say PC gaming is bad. Someone accused me on the comments a few weeks ago that I'm like, I'm only a PC gamer, which is hilarious. I almost play nothing on PC. But
straight on.
It could be the way to go. Jada, do you play games on PC? Like, is that one of your platform choice?
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably primary my PlayStation, secondary my Switch, third would be my PC, and then my last is my Xbox. But like a lot of my game, the reason why my Xbox is probably a little bit lower is because a lot of the games that I play on Xbox I have through PC Game Pass. So I play it just on my Steam Deck or on my PC when I'm sitting at my desk. So,
Whoop.
but yeah, and I play, and then there's a lot of games that you just can only play on PC. Like, I'm a big League of Legends fan, so I put a lot of time into that, and that's pretty much PC. That's the only way to play that is PC. So, but yeah, no, I love my PC. I usually invest probably about, I don't know, anywhere from $500 to $600 every 5 to 6 years or so, just to update things like my GPU, my CPU. Like, I think 2 years ago I updated my motherboard and a whole bunch of other stuff to re-prep, and that was a little bit more pricier of an upgrade. But also things were starting to surge and starting to go up in price around that time. So, you know, PC is definitely an investment. It takes some money to get started. But the good news is, like, you can buy part by part and just build it slowly over time. You don't have to drop $1,500 at once to build an amazing PC. You can literally drop, you know, $100 every other month and have it built in like 6 months.
$100 every other month. Holy crap, dude!
And then just upgrade it over time.
No one's gonna do that. You know, once you start, you're like, I have to just finish. My first build,
What is that noise?
I did buy everything at once, but then when I rebuilt and got like a new
Is that
and everything,
edit on the
I actually
podcast or
bought
something?
stuff over the period of like 2 months. Like, I split it in half because it was a lot, and I wasn't working super much at the time. But I was like, I want to upgrade, so I, you know, saved
Alright.
where I could. And
Next
bought
rest
stuff when I
area
could when I saw them
is-
sell. So
Our
it's just a
next
matter of
forced
how
rest
patient
is
you
6
are and how
hours.
frugal you are
Keep
with
left.
the parts,
and then
because
turn
there's
left.
always sales and stuff in the holiday season. Black Friday is a great time to pick up stuff. Cyber Monday, those are always great times to pick up upgrades and stuff like that
Turn
for your
left.
RAM or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a 30 series card. I'm still like hanging in there with a 2080 Ti because it's just like, it still plays, especially with the NVIDIA DLSS. Like, I'm still I'm finding it hard to find a game that like it kind of struggles to run. So I'm like, I don't
Yep,
really
same here.
feel the need to upgrade. But yeah, you know, it's definitely like a way to go if that's what people have seemed like they need to flock to. And then finally on this, you know, kind of cap this off. A lot of people, myself included, found the fact that the Meta Quest 2 gave away Beat Saber as like their apology, I guess, for a price hike, kind of like weirdly insulting. Like, who doesn't have Beat Saber at this point? Most of the time, you can get the game.
I mean, it's what Sony did when the PlayStation Network went down a couple of years ago for more than a month. They were like, hey, you can have PlayStation Network access to a whole bunch of games you probably already own that are getting sequels soon. So it was kind of an upsell on top of everything else.
And I came up with, I don't think anything. But like, do you guys have any guesses for like what is something you think they could have given away to make this a little bit better? Because
Okay,
it's so
let's look
hard when
ahead
you
for
get
where we
PlayStation
do need
Plus or
to
whatever,
rest.
You get so many games, right? So if they're like,
That's a
you
gas
get the price
station.
increase and you get Horizon Zero Dawn, like who
Pretty
doesn't
far
already
away.
have that game
After Purred
and
Up.
wouldn't
Purred
already
Up?
get it from signing up for PlayStation Plus, right? So my thought was like maybe a month or two of PlayStation Plus for free. I don't know. What do you, Matt? What do you think?
That was.
Or sorry, Jada, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was like, I mean, I think that's the simplest answer is give away 3 to 6 months of PlayStation Plus premium, just so they get, you know, people potentially hooked. People may forget to cancel, it auto renews, continues their.
Welcome to the
subscription,
party.
just
Anybody
make
joining on
money.
stream, feel free to chat me up. I can always pause the podcast. I'm just doing it this way because where I am, it's the early morning, and I'm a small-time streamer, so there's not a lot of people who are watching.
In various jobs, we all know how that goes. You know,
And consider using exclamation point vote in the chat,
there's so many
and you will
people
get a
that
link
remember
for
this
the
and don't
current
go to the
poll
gym.
for
They go to the gym
next
for
month's
1 or 2
games
months,
that'll
and
be
they
playing
never
spooky
cancel
games or
and forget.
horror
They're
elements
monthly
games
after
for
month after
October.
month, just making the gym money for not using equipment. So like, it's the same kind of thing. So that would honestly, it would have been my go-to to kind of.
Okay, we are
off
gonna
the cost of
not
what is the
slow
cost of
completely
giving
down.
somebody- what does that cost Sony to give somebody 3 or 6 months of PS Plus? It doesn't really cost them anything. It's
If
all
I had to
just
guess,
digital.
nothing.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think you're right. I think
We are
PS
doing a
Plus,
long trip out of
premium
Istanbul.
would be an easy answer. I don't
to
know,
make
maybe,
progress on an
going with a nice
achievement,
faceplate.
while
Maybe,
also
like,
traveling a bunch of
ooh,
roads that have not been
right?
traveled before
I
for
still don't
more
have one.
achievements.
Neither do I.
I just.
I like the white one. I feel like I like the white one the best.
I
Yeah.
think so too. That's my thing. Is I have a white controller. I have the baby blue controller. You can see here in the corner, and then I have the red controller. And I think if I were to change the color of my PS5, I think I like the baby blue controller the most. And I think that that's what I would do for the PS5. But so far, I'm just like the white also looks good. So
You know, I'm somewhat tempted to grab the pink and the purple just to match my hair because I just realized that I literally have like the same shades as the PlayStation controller schemes and
yeah.
plate style for my hair. So maybe
More
that's-
income coming in.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's what I'll do.
I didn't even consider that if you wanted to go the route of like spending the money, you could buy, 2 different sets and then just do, a color on each side. I didn't even think about that. Huh, that's interesting. It's hard for me because for our video people, I have the Series X on the bottom, right? And then I had a black Switch. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'll get the black base plates. Then the OLED Switch came out, and I was like, I kind of want the white one. So I got a white OLED Switch. And you can't change the color of the Series X. So I'm kind of like, if I did change it, then just the Switch is the one that stands out. It's kind of weird. Right now, it's the Xbox that kind of stands out. I don't know. The way it's on the shelf, it makes sense.
Income,
I have
5,000
you
euros
give
from
me an
Arnold.
Xbox Series X, and I'll buy you a Series S, and then go on. Have all white consoles.
I got another solution.
It's a great
Mark,
deal.
hey,
I'll take it.
give me $50. I'll show up at your place with a bucket of paint. I'll solve that black Xbox problem.
just paint that sucker white. I wonder how many people are out there painting their consoles. Probably a lot. Hopefully not. I have to assume that that's like not great for like when it comes to cooling a console. I feel like everything is like factored in, even like how thick the plastic is and where it sits. So I'm sure if they're like, yeah, and then you're gonna like dump paint on it, I'm sure that that's probably not something that they would recommend. But it's your console. You
That could
do
have been
whatever you
bad.
want for it. So yeah, so that's the PlayStation 5 price hike. The news is kind of old, but I figured we kind of owe it to the my closing thoughts are just like it sucks. I feel bad. I know that there's stuff just going on all around the world. The last thing people want to think about is the fact that their consoles are more expensive. I also kind of am on the side that it's like, yeah, it's a luxury item. I think most people are just gonna kind of buy it anyways. But I'm definitely on the side of just like,
I don't know. I don't want to
price
pay more
increases
for a console
are
than I
not
think it's
something that
worth.
I feel like.
And I do kind of feel like,
this, when you almost
well, I've definitely gotten my
100%
money's
sure
worth
that
out of my
it's
Series
like a
X.
key shareholder.
I'm not going to say that it's
That it's just
necessarily
like,
worth
there's no way to spend that to be like, this is a
$500,
good thing for anybody,
just as I
except
wouldn't
for
necessarily say that the PlayStation is worth $500.
So, you're not going to find me defending multi-billion.
Are you going to sit over there, or are you going to pull out into this
That's-
lane? You're going to sit over there. Good for
Talk
you.
More about money. The Last of Us. What is this episode? This is not great. The Last of Us is a video game that came out in 2013 for PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it
Came out
is.
again in 2014 in the form of The Last of Us Remastered for PS4 and the PS4 Pro. It's out again in 2022 in the form of The Last
Are my
of Us
lights on?
Part 1, aka The Last of Us Remake. And it is a game that is not controversial at all. Everyone is on the same page. And we don't really even need to talk about it. No, that's not true at all. So, we've been playing it.
My lights were not on.
And, I'm anxious to hear everybody's thoughts. I have some thoughts of my own, but Matt, we will start with you.
I was one of the people who were like, I'm almost certain that I replayed Remastered on PS5 around the time Part 2 came out. So it was pretty fresh in my mind. And I remember playing it then and being like, this holds up really well. Like The Last of Us.
That's because I didn't really think it was that great of a game when it came out in the first place.
2013, 2014, and I was playing it on the PS5, and I'm just like, you know what? This is kind of crazy how much this holds up, how much it still looks very good. and how
Karlova
much,
discovered.
I'm enjoying
Vulcan
being
Explorer,
here
28
again
of
after
30.
all these years. This is kind of crazy, and then I booted up Remake, or I saw Remake, and I was thinking, oh, I just played the first one again. it looks fine. I don't know how much of a
Oops.
remake is gonna do for it. And then I started playing this like earlier this week, and it's a lot. Like it looks really good. It looks so much. And there's something about the remaster that I didn't
What do you
realize
think?
until I played the
I don't
remake
really
or part one.
get
Was that it has like it looks
mild
more
improvements to
natural.
visual
The
quality
remaster
or
does this
fidelity
thing where
for
the
games
screen has
I've
kinda
already
like this
played.
glossy effect to make things more shiny and vibrant.
I still
sort
think
of
Grand Theft
highlight
Auto 5
graphical powers
looks
of the
like a
PS4 Pro, I imagine. But
somewhat
the
visually
PS5
improved
version
Xbox 360
looks
game, because that's where I
really
originally played it.
like a film, which is a cliche, but it looks really cinematic, really lifelike. It's kind of amazing.
Gina, what about you? You've been playing it.
What is that noise? I think that's an edit on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up replaying it literally last year on PS5, just the remaster, and I loved it because I was playing it because I was playing 1 and 2 again last year, and I booted this one up, and I was like, I just was really just taken back by just how good it looks. The graphical fidelity in this remake, and I do stress that it's a remake, not a remaster. I mean, technically, I guess you could say it's a remaster of the remaster if you really wanted to get super technical, but
That would not be
so
accurate.
much of it is built from the ground up. There's so many more polygons.
I mean, yeah,
in the
it's
characters, in the
it's just a
foliage,
port,
in the
guys.
buildings, just
I mean, it's not
everything
just a
has
port.
more
It's
polygons
improved,
to it.
but like,
The enemy AI is a lot smarter. They're a lot more aggressive, especially
okay, that's
grounded.
true.
I was reading to the
But
blog.
Same
they
could be said of,
posted,
like,
and
improving
I
Assassin's Creed
recognized some of the
3,
things they were
you
talking
know?
about, especially around the AI, where in the originals it was so limited to how many NPCs would be aggressive towards you at once,
Uh-oh.
and the others would just kind of wait because they just didn't have.
Took
the
my hand
leeway
off the
back
controller
then
and
to
almost crashed.
have all these
Pretty
dynamic
accurate to me
AIs
playing
doing
this game,
different
honestly.
things, and that's really uncapped now. So like I'm seeing a lot more strategies, a lot more enemies that are approaching more at once.
If you want to see me play
Because
The Last
a
of
lot
Us and
times
get
it's
a
like, hey,
different
there's just
opinion
one
of it,
person.
perhaps,
I mean, there's
it is
one
on the
person,
current
there's another
poll.
guy down the hall shooting at you from cover, and as soon as you kill that first one, that guy starts moving up. Now they kind of move up in unison. They try to flip
Alright,
more.
never been on this road before.
There's a lot more to it. It's just it's excellent. I'm really loving it. I'm probably about 3/4.
I wanted to
right
pull up
now.
my Waze and report that vehicle stopped on the side of the road.
You know, I think the moment that really threw me back, that really took my breath away while playing it, was there's that scene from the very first one of the earlier trailers when you're in the car, you're riding through and you're
Her
seeing
drop
the
discovered.
buildings as they're
Vulcan
driving
Explorer
by.
29 of 30.
I was like, that looks so realistic. It's crazy how good these buildings look at. And
Since
I've seen
the
these
last time I
cutscenes
played, I
so many
believe,
times. It looks so good. That it just
I
really,
believe
really
Western
captures
Balkans
my point of view.
is the next expansion
Yeah,
announced.
From a visual standpoint, like,
I'm wondering if they're
I
going to
was
release
blown away
Russia
when I
before it,
first started playing it.
because
I
Russia's still waiting,
was
like
wow,
is basically
this is
done.
instantly one of
But,
PS5's best looking games. Like this is definitely
you know,
not something that
We
they
might just be skipping Russia and doing it later.
recreated. You know, there's so many.
Oh,
We
50.
were talking about this yesterday. There's so many like versions of remake and remaster that like you don't. It's hard to like classify what this is, right? I feel like this has never been done before, and I don't mean this in a way that it's like this is a revolution. I don't know if it's a great trend or not, but you know, when you have something like Spider-Man came out in 2018 and then got remastered for PlayStation 5, it's like, okay, it got everything.
It's
that
just a
Miles
fancy name
Morales
for a
got.
port
It
at that
fast
point, if
loading,
you don't
ray
actually
tracing,
improve the
all that
game,
stuff,
like,
you know, the higher frame rate and
demonstrably.
stuff like that. But like almost nothing about that game is unchanged. And then you have stuff like Resident Evil 2 and 3 and Final Fantasy 7. Those are full ground, you know, remakes, right? And then you have this, which is like kind of weirdly in the middle, where it's like that's Troy Baker, that's Ashley Johnson. Like these aren't reshots. These are just, they took the original, they future-proofed how much they filmed with mocap and stuff like that, and they were able to let those performances shine by using the new graphical tech and rebuild
This is
the game from the
absolutely
ground up,
narrow.
like they would have when they made Last of Us 2, and that was kind of something they said. But
Totally expecting to hit that
they made
vehicle.
Last of Us 2, and they were like, man, wouldn't it be great if we could go back and do this for Last of Us 1? And for all intents and purposes, they've kind of done that. The gameplay itself is still like Last of Us 1 for the most
Okay.
part. Like it doesn't.
I'm
feel
gonna get
like
gas
Last
and
of Us
rest
2.
over here.
But definitely from a graphical and accessibility standpoint, this is rebuilt from the ground up, and like it couldn't have been easy, right? This isn't something that like, not to sound like a shill, but it's not something that I don't think that they.
You
just,
sound a
like,
little bit like a shill, dude. It's fine.
talked out like sorry, Bethesda's one of my favorite game studios of all time. The fact that Skyrim just like keeps coming out and it's just like a little prettier each time, like that's not what this is, right? This is like
No.
this took a lot of work. But don't worry, if you're very angry right at us, we're going to get to the point where we kind of go to the other side. But yeah, for an overview,
Gravy Coffee,
I
oh,
do
the
think
sausage
that
rolls?
this is
Don't know
a
that one.
Very, very well done game.
All right.
But it poses a really big
For
question,
anybody
which
who is watching sometime
why does
later
it
on
exist?
YouTube, I would like
And
to thank
it's
you
something I've
for
thought about a
watching.
lot. I think
How do
an
I-
easy answer,
Alt-tab, get me outta here.
I'll go first. Is that
I will be pausing the podcast.
They want
I would like to thank you for watching. This has been Euro Truck Simulator 2, presented by Improvision Entertainment. I've been Huntermun, and this is going to be a long trip. It's going to be going on for the next couple of episodes, so here we go. See you in the future.